Hey everyone, it's Will. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to go over the latest episode of Interview with the Vampire, the new AMC Plus series. It was episode 7, the season finale for season 1. And first off, going back to when I first heard about this series coming out, it really came off as something that I didn't think I would be into, that it looked kind of just like another show and it'll eventually get canceled and all this stuff. But after those first 2 episodes released on AMC Plus, I was totally fucking blown away, and I have reviewed every episode since. And those are my big hitter videos, and I really appreciate that, guys. I really appreciate all the views and all the comments and everything. And as a whole, this show has really exceeded every expectation that I set for it in the very beginning, and I've just been totally blown away by every episode and the acting and the characters and the story and all this shit. And I just recently watched the season finale, and it was just again another episode that just blew my mind, and left me waiting for the next one, even though it could be months to who knows, maybe a year from now before they release season 2. And this episode had some reveals. It had some kind of real shock factors and wow factors, and it just was a total. It was definitely a proper close to a season, but of course it leaves you wondering what's going to happen after the events of the episode, and are they going to follow suit with the story that's in the books and in the movie and everything. I assume so, just because the way they played it off, it seems like it's going in the same direction. So with all of that said, let's jump into the episode. Episode 7 starts off. It's Claudia still plotting the demise of Lestat, and for all the shit he's pulled and the way he treats her and Louis. And again, Louis, he still has this internal struggle of whether or not he wants to go through with it, just because he does care for Lestat, regardless of how much he's treated him and Claudia like shit and been completely toxic and just a horrible person all around. But he still cannot completely commit, and Claudia knows this. So, as it is, she does not reveal how she's going to go about doing this to him and what she needs to do to get Lestat where she needs him to take him out. So she's going along, she's planning it, she's taking her sweet time, she's in no rush, and she comes down to the fact that she needs to honestly be 10 steps ahead of him every time. And she's going to get this poison, and she's convincing Lestat to plan this big party, because Lestat, Louis, and Claudia have decided it's time to leave New Orleans, because everyone suspects them of being the devil, or just unnatural, because everyone's starting to notice that they don't age. And so Claudia convinces him, before they leave, let's throw this party, let's invite everyone in, let's do this during Mardi Gras as well, so they have kind of a perfect cover for when they hatch their little plan. So it's kind of a plan within a plan to kind of throw Lestat's guard off, even though the whole time, and it's revealed later, that he thinks he knows what's going on. He knows that there's a plan in the works, but in all reality, he does not. So it's very exciting episode with all the things that take place. And it's during this party that they're going around selecting people, that they tell them, do you want the secret to immortality? Because everyone already kind of suspects that they are not human. And so everyone immediately that they select wants in on it. And they don't realize that Claudia, Lestat, and Louis have been starving themselves for a day or two leading up to this. And so when they select all these people, it's during this that Claudia actually poisons one of these men that she knows Lestat is going to have a personal vendetta against for the way he's treated him and Louis. She's taking advantage of the fact that Lestat is a very vindictive and is all about getting back at people and everything. So she selects this person. We think it's one set of people, but then it turns out to be somebody else. And it's at the point where they invite all these people back to the house, They convince them that they have the Fountain of Youth, basically, and they're going around revealing their real ages. Lestat's over 180 some years old. He was born back in the 1700s, and all of these things. One of the guys who's been through the whole series, I can't recall his name. He was the white dude with a mustache that disrespected Louis every chance he got regarding his business as a pimp and his whorehouses and everything. And he's one of these men amongst this group of people that they've invited back to the house for, a special treat, or, what they have them convinced that they're going to get this elixir to be young forever. And it all turns out it's a big ruse because, like I said, they had been starving themselves up to this point, and they just completely butcher these people. And during all of this, we think that the poison is within this set of twin men that Lestat kind of took a special interest in at the party and everything. So it's revealed after everyone is dead, besides these two men. Claudia saves one of them as a gift to Lestat, as kind of a peace offering before they take off for their trip and everything. And it's right here that Lestat reveals, oh, I know you've been planning something. He's had someone kind of keeping tabs on them and blah, blah, blah. And it's revealed that Antoinette, his lover that he had previously, that he's turned her, and she's been keeping an eye on Louis and Claudia and following them around, and she's been listening in on their telepathic communications, thinking that she's got them cornered, she's got them figured out. But even after she reveals herself and Lestat's kind of reveling, oh, I figured it out, I always figure it out, Claudia reveals that he's completely wrong. That the twin was never the target, or was never dosed with the poison that she needs to take him down so he can weaken him to the point, or she can weaken him to the point of killing him. It's actually the dude from earlier, the dude with the mustache, I'll call him. She knew that Lestat would have a special interest in him just for the way that he's treated him in the past. And without a second thought, he's already killed him. He's drained him dry. And it's during his little rants, thinking that he's got the upper hand, that he actually starts to fall victim to the poison. Antoinette, is taken by complete surprise because she's failed at her mission or whatever. Claudia pins her to the ground with a fucking fire poker from the fireplace. It's here that Lestat has kind of accepted his fate, that he is glad. He actually tells Louis that he's glad that he's the one that kills him, and Louis slits his throat, bleeding him out. And Claudia actually takes her one of her diaries and dabs the pen in Lestat's blood and writes down his final words in blood in this diary. And, because she hates him so much for what he's done, they're going back and forth between present day and when the events actually took place. And Malloy has figured it out that Louis is only telling a half-truth, and some of it's kind of a bold-faced lie of what happened with Lestat as he was dying and after he slit his throat and everything. Malloy has completely figured out that Louis is completely full of shit. That he did not so willingly do this, and he did not do it guilt-free, basically. And, it flashes back to see Louis holding Lestat as he's dying, completely hysterical and just losing his mind and racked with guilt for what he's done, even though Lestat is a complete scumbag to him for the most part. And it's revealed during this back and forth that Claudia actually wanted to burn Lestat to make sure to know that he's dead, that he's gone. Louis would not hear of it, no matter how much she argued with him, and they ended up leaving his coffin out with the morning garbage with Lestat inside. Malloy knew, even back then, knowing that the garbage would be picked up, it would be taken to a dump outside the city where it would never be completely destroyed. It would just be left to be buried within, tons of garbage and just, crap. And Malloy figures out that Lestat's not dead, that the task was not completed as Claudia wanted it to be, and he kind of determines or guesses that with the missing pages out of her diary, that it's during this time that she might have actually hated Louis for not letting her finish it as she wanted it to be, to make sure that Lestat was gone, that he could never come back and come after them. So we actually see that what he's saying is true, that what Malloy is saying is completely on the money, that Lestat's coffin is out in the dump, and he's feeding on rats to keep himself alive, to heal himself, to bring himself back. It's during this back and forth that Louis getting upset, and his friend, or whatever you want to call him, Rashid, actually steps in and tries to get him to say the session's over, that he needs to go and all this shit. And during this back and forth, Louis walks away, and Malloy keeps badgering him, that he knows what's really happening and everything. And it's there that it was revealed that Rashid is actually Armand, a 500-plus-year-old vampire who is no longer a slave to the sun, to where he cannot really be harmed by it too much, and he possesses the cloud gift, as they called it. And Rashid is not like some little helper boy or whatever of Louis. He's actually Louis's lover. And that kind of is where the episode kind of closes off and where we're left with the story. We know that Louis and Claudia were still on their way to Europe, and we have no idea what is actually going to happen. I assume the story is going to follow as it does within the old movie and in the books, that Claudia, at some point in that little gap of time, she is going to die. She is going to be put to death by, I assume, a group of vampire hierarchy, or whatever they want to call it, for what she did to Lestat, for trying to kill one of her own kind, and they're going to see it as this high crime and everything. So here we are, waiting for the next season. I hope it comes soon. I hope they don't have a long ass year or whatever it is in between. They very well could, but with it being on AMCplus, maybe they'll speed it up a little bit. Who knows? But anyways, guys, that is my breakdown of the season finale of Interview with the Vampire. It was a damn good show. I cannot wait for the next season, and I'm hoping to actually have more revealed to me, because this is the only part of the story that I am even familiar with, as far as up to the point where Claudia dies and Louis come to this guy in present day wanting this interview. So I'm hoping a lot more is revealed, just for my sake, so I can be more familiar with the story and everything. So anyways, guys, if you enjoyed that little breakdown and my thoughts and comments about the show, please leave your own comments below. I want to continue the conversation within the comments. Please leave thumbs up, and if you feel so inclined, please subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it. So until next time, guys, I will see you later, and I'll be waiting patiently for the next season of Interview with the Vampire to come out. Talk to you later. Bye.